Hi guys, today's video is gonna be reflecting back on quality, what once was and what is. And you can see the American flag behind me. Um, Made in America meant something back in the day. In fact, it depends on what branch of audio equipment you were into. Some audio branches deserted Made in America way sooner than others. A lot of car audio brands stayed in America and was made in America up until the late 90s. And some hi-fi, uh, consumer grade or entry level and mid-fi was still made in America up until the late 90s and early 2000s. But of course, since the 70s, a lot of companies went overseas. They went to different countries. Hong Kong was one of them, Taiwan, Korea, China, Mexico. So this is not going to be just a bashing about everything that is made in China is crap and all that stuff, but it's going to be more like paying a tribute to Made in America. Is there a difference between items or products that are made in America and made in, let's say, China, because 80% today is made in China? Let's go back in time and take a look at what happened. The economy changed, and a lot of companies felt it necessary to flee the country and seek refuge other places to make the bottom dollar or the bottom line even greater for their shareholders. That was the only motivation and the only reason why a lot of companies went to countries like China. This also goes for stuff that are made in Germany, Sweden, Norway, England, you name it. There's the same story over there, and it is a rule of thumb that a lot of good stuff was made in these countries, and it was. If you look in America or United States, which had a lot of companies, a lot. I'm not going to single out one. You all know the brands we're talking about. But of course, in Germany, you know, you had like Braun and Blaupunkt and a few others that was like really, really big. And even those, well, kind of like fled. And then, of course, you had stuff that was made in Sweden. They made some hi-fi. They made some pro audio. They made some car audio, and as long as they made it in Sweden, it was okay. Then they bailed out, and one of the bigger ones was Labgruppen, who makes still make pro audio amplifiers. Well, they're now owned by some mogul down in the Middle East. I'm not sure about the country. I read about him. He owns several brands. He owns Tannoy, Labgruppen, and a bunch of others. And in Norway, well, a lot of the electronic companies in Norway, or speaker companies, or audio companies in Norway, didn't really move out. They're still there, and that's the rare part. They are still in Norway, but a few went out of business, and one of the biggest one was Tandberg. So they went out of business, and they became more or less a computer company now these days. And I think they're owned by Cisco or something like that. But let's focus back on what was in the United States and also Canada for a better part of it. Canada had a good amplifier back in the day. It still makes amplifier, but I'm not sure. I haven't heard of new stuff. Class A. But if you look at it, go back in time and look at stuff that was built, and you had this sign, and it was like made in America or made in the United States of America. Um, Phoenix Gold was always proud of that. When they sold out to another company, a new owner, China. And a lot of the stuff today is China. So that's why I am into vintage audio, because vintage audio, you know that, okay, if you buy certain brands, you know where they're coming from. And even stuff that is made in Japan, that old brands that was made in Japan are now being built in China. So vintage audio in general is better because it was made in Japan, it was made in America, it was made in Canada, made in Germany, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, you name it. And then something happened and they started fleeing and they started setting up production offshore. And in the early days, everything, the first 10-15 years of made in China products, it was pure crap. It was so crap. The stuff that came from Korea was some kind acceptable. They had good, better quality control over there. Hong Kong was a little bit better than China, not much. But if you got something in the 80s that was made in China, you could bet your dollar and everything that it was pure freaking crap. Everything. Everything was crap. They didn't know how to do things. They didn't know how to build things. Quality control was non-existent. And today you see the companies that are originally from United States or Canada or Germany or something, they pay for development of factories and all this stuff, and they send all their blueprints over and want to have it built over there and outsource. So basically what they're outsourcing is labor force and production facility and supervising and all that stuff. Well, here's the problem. If you are a company here in the States, and unless you have one person in China 24/7, and that's impossible because Chinese government won't allow you that. They don't allow you to have a person 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year on the factory floor in China. There are visas that prohibits that. And good luck trying to move there as a part of a business and to regulate and keep control. So what you have to do as a business owner and a brand's owner, you have to send a representative over to China once a month, twice a month, once a week, something like that, and do random checks on quality control. Well, that's not happening. The companies can say they do, but we all know better. If we're lucky, they go over there maybe 4 times a year to check the quality. So the problem is quality control, because everything from China we know is made in a hurry and made mass quantity. So it's impossible for themselves to keep and have good quality control routines. Well, unless you as a company owner and a brand owner send someone over there once a week, once a month, and my dogs go crazy because they're testing the tornado siren, and every time they do that my dogs go nuts in the other room. So I think we have to just play it a little bit on the go with the dogs here. Every Wednesday at this time of day. But then again, we live in a tornado area, so it's necessary. At least that's done in America. Maybe not the parts. This is crazy. I have 4 dogs that go totally bananas every time that siren goes off. and it goes off for about 30 to 45 seconds. And they howl, they bark, they go nuts. I just got him in before I started this video, thank God. Well, let's keep going. So quality control is the biggest issue when it comes to made in China, or made in Mexico for that part, or made anywhere else for that matter. It's always have been and always will be a quality control problem. Yes, they can send you 20 items that are up to spec and function as intended. But then again, you can get 10 items. The next 10 items might not be up to spec or not perform as intended, and you have problems. And then when these products hit the market and hit the streets and ends up in the hands of a retailer, that's when the problem starts. And it wasn't like that before. In the United States, when things were manufactured in the United States, it was manufactured differently. Yes, they had high mass manufacturing here too, but quality control was such an essential part of the production that it was a part of the routine, and a big part of the routine. In fact, quality control was done in several levels through the factory. In China, you maybe have one level of quality control, and that is at the end. You can go on YouTube and look at videos from the production facilities in China and how they make speakers, and I'm not impressed. And those are videos where they try to impress you. I mean, they try their hardest to impress you, but I'm not impressed. So vintage audio, I want to say before 1984, in general, is way better than the general brand today. Of course, there are brands today that are made in America, made in Germany, made in Scandinavia, either country in Scandinavia, and made in Canada. So there are brands out there, and that I'm going to touch that in another video, because that's a very interesting topic, because that's the future of audio and the future of this business of speakers and amplifiers and what not. So because the ones that are building today in the United States, in Canada, in Germany, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, France, those manufacturers, and they manufacture product on a different level. It's not entry level anymore. It's not mid-fi. It is more or less high end or close to high end. And it's products that cost a lot, because that's how they label it, because it's made in that country, and automatically then they label it as high end, and it gets the price tag to go with it. So you get a matching price tag of where it's manufactured. However, the bad thing is when companies who manufacture all of their stuff in China raise their prices, because they justify that because there's a high-end market that charges a lot. So they try to not compete with that market, but they raise their prices to increase the profit, just because you have a higher end market that is being manufactured in this country. And that's just a despicable thing. And there's a few companies I will never do business with, because they are just pure despicable. They are thieves, they are scammers, and they rip you off. I'm not going to mention any names. A lot of you guys who know me knows what I'm talking about. There is 7-8 brands out there that are really, really bad. And that's why the change will come. The future will change things. And that's why this made in China crap will never last. It will always be there, but it will never last as the dominant manufacturing place. Why? Well, we see changes already. There is a lot of groundwork being done. We hear people talking about companies pulling back and coming back to the United States. And I'm going to give prop to one company. I don't do this often because one, I don't get paid. Two, I'm not being endorsed or anything like that. So what I'm going to say now is totally because I really value what they are doing. There is one company that has, in my mind, stayed true to the true values of the American flag and the American people, and that is eminence. If anyone needs support and needs our loyal devotion and our harder money, it is eminence. They are a company that I really think has the right values and they operate on the right terms. Another company that I want to do a shout out on is B52 ETI Sound Systems. Hi Alvi. B52 manufactured in the United States of America. A very, very good company. Nice people. They treat customers right. And they really have, for the last 35 years, come a long way. So if you are in need of pro audio stuff, I'm not getting paid by them. I'm a dealer. But I don't sell much because of my health. My store plans that I had went down the drain, but I sell a little bit here and there whenever I can. But B52 or ETI Sound Systems, Eminence, those are two companies that I really value a lot because they do stuff 100% in America, United States. There are others that claim to be manufacturing in the United States, but I haven't seen any proof that what they do is totally made here. It can be made somewhere overseas and shipped in, and you never know. So until I get that verified, there might be another company that I might give a shout out to. So, with that, made in America, red, white, and blue, stars and stripes. Isn't that how we used to like it? Isn't that how we once think to be? You know, we got the power. It's up to us to make a stand and make a statement to these companies and say, hey, what? You know what? We don't accept this bullshit. We don't want this China crap. So I've told my friends, and a lot of them have listened. I've told them, buy vintage, or if you have to buy new if you can verify that it's made in the United States of America, or Germany, or any of the Scandinavian countries, or UK, because the West and Europe, but the whole West, needs their factories back. This is not political. This is not some political thing that I'm running here, but I think it's important because of quality, because of trust to the product. I used to be a very, very devoted fan of Denon. As long as Denon was made in Japan, in Nippon, Colombia, I liked it. It was good. They got bought up, they moved things, they started manufacturing in China, and what happened? The quality of Denon really tanked A lot. Look at Harman Kardon. You have so many examples of what once was great that now is crap. So with that, that was the final word. But do me one favor. Next time you buy a product, look for the red, white, and blue stars and stripes and made in the United States of America. If you can't find it, look for made in Germany, made in UK or Great Britain, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Do me a favor. Stay away as much as you can from made in China. Let's save the audio world by bringing it back to where it belongs. This is where it belongs.